Good morning, everyone. I'm going to try to walk through this week's assignment. I know there's been some questions and a little bit of confusion, and frankly, the instructions don't always really help. So my screen is not necessarily going to show the assignment instructions. I'll try to walk through them anyway. So a the point of this week's assignment is to get you used to basically reading financial statements and making some broad assessments from them. Um, we would like you to get a statement from your own organization. When it says a recent financial statement, that may be confusing. It doesn't have to be the last month or the last quarter. It could be the most recent year, but those are sometimes hard for employees to reach if you're not already in middle management. It may be 2 or 3 years old, and that's just fine. Generally, audited statements are the easiest to access because they become public for nonprofits and for profits, as a matter of fact. So, you're obtaining a financial statement. If you can't find one from your own organization, search on the internet. Public entities are required to publish their financial statements. Now, some really don't do a good job of that, they make it hard to find. If you can't find something you're interested in, let me know. I have a couple I can share with you. So what you're doing once you have your financial statement is you're writing about a 4 to 5 page paper on the major trends in the organization's expenses and revenues. And there's four important points you need to be sure to include in this analysis. First of all, analyze any trends in expenses and revenue that you see. Question is, are they on target to meet budget goals? Well, if it's not your own organization, you may not be privy to what their budget goals are. So see if you think any major trends are positive or negative. That's a good way to interpret that. Are expenses going up? Are revenues coming down? That would be not good. Next point is, how can your organization contain or reduce expenses without damaging services and quality of care? Again, if you're addressing your own organization, go for it. If you're talking about another organization, you can be a little bit more generalized in terms of what you see in the trends. What can this organization do to reduce expenses without damaging service or quality of care? Again, this is an area where you're probably going to want to do some research, and you've already talked a little bit about cost saving proposals, those kinds of things. So think about that as you answer this particular question. The next point, can your organization's reimbursement strategy be improved to increase revenue? If so, how would it be, and what would it be, and how would it be implemented? Again, if you're talking about your own organization, great, make it specific. If you're talking about another organization that you're not really familiar with, you can be a little bit more generalized. What are some of the things that are recommended by experts to improve reimbursement strategy, to increase revenue? Again, an area you're going to want to do some research in. And it needs to be a little specific and talk about how it's going to be implemented. So in other words, you can't just say, well, we need to attract more patients with private insurance. Great. How are you going to do that? How is that going to be implemented? That's an easier thing to say than it is to do. And the final point is, how can your organization use its financial performance to build on its brand? Most organizations in the healthcare world don't really talk about their finances as part of their brand. Financial organizations do, banks do certainly, but in healthcare it's a little less common. I don't know if there's a way to really do this directly, but give it some thought. What does financial performance mean in terms of a company's brand? Does it mean stability? Does it mean security? Is that a good thing in healthcare, or is that a bad thing in healthcare? If an organization's a nonprofit and it has a lot of money in the bank, is that a good thing? Is that something what they want to really use as part of promoting their brand? I don't know. Those are just some things to think about. Again, cite any references to support your assignment. If you don't use any references for this assignment, it's going to be very suspect. You notice there's not a required number here, but if you are examining these trends in expense and revenue, if you can do that without citing any references, I'd be surprised. And then, as always, be sure to cite them. Don't just list 2 or 3 references. Cite them. Where did the ideas in your narrative come from? So again, important points. So hopefully this is helpful. and you'll be able to complete your assignment.